Hello, I'm Vic Kerry, and I'm the author of The Children of Lot, a Southern Gothic horror novel set in rural Alabama. The Children of Lot deals with the story of Suzanne Clay, a middle school principal who is kidnapped along with some of her students by a clan called the Hassles. The Hassles are actually a cult that have an apocryphal biblical book called the Book of Lot. They themselves are called the Children of Lot, and they have one commandment that they uphold above all others, that incest is best. Suzanne has to go through many snares and toils and dangers to protect her students from the tortures and brainwashing of the evil Hassel clan. The Children of Lot began as my master's thesis for my MFA in writing popular fiction from Seton Hill University, but the story's a little bit older than that. I used to work in rural Alabama visiting families basically who lived out in the countryside, and discovered that every now and again you would run into people that were incestuous. And one day in my head I said, what would happen if they kidnapped me? And that story rattled around in my head for a while, and once I made it to Seton Hill I decided I'd make that my thesis novel. And my first mentor and thesis committee member, Scott Johnson, loved it. He said, great, go with it, write it, it's wonderful. And I wrote it, and I was really happy when I got to my next mentor, who ended up being my chair, Michael Ornstein, who said, no, there's way too much of this, that, and the other for this to ever get published or pass through my thing. So I had to rewrite it. And what I have from the rewrite is pretty much what's published, and it's a much, much better book for all the dangers, toils, and snares I had to go through in writing it. This comes from chapter 3 of The Children of Lot. It's where we first meet the Hassles. To set the scene up a little bit, because I'm starting midway through, is that Suzanne Clay, the middle school principal, Warren Lavelle, the special ed teacher, and Becky Dodge, the school counselor, have had to go out for a parent conference with the Hassles because one of their children, Rachel, has gotten into a little bit of trouble at school and is supposed to go to an alternative school and didn't show up. So they're visiting here with the family. A high-pitched squeal screamed out from behind the house. It echoed out like an explosion. The sound made Suzanne's head throb. She covered her ears with her hands and noticed that Lavelle did the same thing. "What is that?" she asked. "Sounds like a pig in pain," Miss Dodge yelled over the noise that now included what sounded like several people chanting. Before Suzanne could ask what would cause that much noise, a hulking man with flaming red hair ran from around the house. He held his meaty hands over his ears, his muscles in the arms flexed with the strain of keeping his palms pressed as tight to his ears as he could. A fine carpet of orange hair covered his arms, and a beard hung to his chest. He gave them no notice, but leapt up 3 stairs at a time to the porch and slunk onto one of the benches. The pig squeal grew louder and more intense. The ginger lump of a man on the porch let out a long, sharp whistle like that of a train. All of the other noise from behind the house grew rhythmic, pulsing like drum beats. Suzanne readied herself to yell to see if the man was okay. He seemed to be foaming at the mouth and slinging the froth as he shook his head. She lowered her hands from her ears when an old, bent man hobbled around the house the same way the huge man had come. He leaned on a gnarled cane and stopped in his tracks when he saw Suzanne and the others. His fingers touched his forehead in a salute. The squealing and chanting reached a point that Suzanne thought she wouldn't be able to hear a gunshot. But she did. A loud pop rang out as the squeal died away into the thin echo of distance, the pulsing of the voices chopped off without a single note left over. "Howdy," the old man said once the echo faded away. "Can I help you folks?" Is he okay?" Suzanne pointed to the man on the porch. "Esau? He's fine. He can't stand no loud noises, like a root dog that one is." The old man leaned on his cane and turned his attention to Esau. "Boy, get on back there and help them fix that hog. You know they'll hack that head to pieces, and I want some good souse out of it. No telling what that dastard grip'll do to it either." Esau looked up at the old man. He jabbed his thumb at his chest and shook his head while fanning his fingers in and out. "I know you can't stand no loud noises, but ain't no reason to be acting like some gun-shy hound dog. Now get around there and keep them from hacking up that pig head." Esau nodded, stood up, and ran to the end of the porch. He leapt down and made his way around the house. The old man started toward them. Suzanne stepped to meet him with her hand extended. "Are you Mr. Hassel?" she asked. "I am a Mr. Hassel." "Are you Rachel Hassel's grandfather?" Suzanne asked. "No." He took her hand and shook it. His palm felt hard and calloused. "I'm her daddy. Daddy Saul, to be exact." His eyes stared out like two peridot set deep into his skull. "Well, you're the gentleman we need to speak to." Suzanne flourished her hand to Lavelle and Miss Dodge. A flurry of butterflies flittered in her stomach. "I'm Miss Clay, the principal at Rachel's school, and this is Miss Dodge and Mr. Lavelle, the counselor and Rachel's teacher. Y'all sent me that letter yesterday about Rachel getting into trouble with that boy." Solomon nodded his head and started toward the porch. He beckoned for them to follow. Suzanne and the others obliged. He sat down on the bench to the right of the French doors. Suzanne, Lavelle, and Miss Dodge sat on the bench to the left. "We came out today, Mr. Hassel, to find out why Rachel didn't go to the alternative school," Miss Dodge said. The sound of singing rose from behind the house. The cadence sounded like a hymn to Suzanne, a hymn she vaguely recognized. "Ye can call me Solomon." He tapped his cane on the warped floorboards and hummed a bar of the song before continuing distractedly. "Ain't got no way to get her to that school. If the school bus don't pick her up, then I can't get her nowhere." "Do you need to go back there and tend to your hog, Solomon?" Suzanne asked. We can come back with you." "Ain't nothing back there you folks need to see." He leaned on his stick and gave Miss Dodge an almost amorous look. "Like I was saying, I ain't got no way to get that girl there." "You don't have a vehicle of some kind?" Lavelle asked. "Of course, I got an old pickup truck, but it ain't up to driving out to Leesville to that school. If you want my girl in school, y'all need to provide her a ride." "We can't do that. There isn't a bus that runs for the alternative school. The county can't afford it," Suzanne said. "Plus, having to get the student there is part of the punishment. And I can't drive her there either. So I guess y'all just have to take her back to your school." "We can't do that. Don't you know what she did?" Suzanne asked. Solomon screwed his pale green eyes into the cavernous eye sockets. "She was playing with the boy. Don't reckon nothing wrong with that." "What do you mean?" Lavelle asked. "I can think of a few reasons why it was wrong." Solomon whipped his old gray head around. The freckles stuck out from his wrinkles so clearly that it was easy to see the resemblance between him and Rachel. His easygoing expression hardened and his humming quit. "Why? Was the boy a Yankee?" "Not that I know of, but that's not one of the bad reasons," Lavelle said. "It'd be bad enough." Solomon relaxed. He started humming the tune with the singing from the back of the house and eventually started mumbling the words. "Shall we gather at the river, the beautiful river?" He smiled. "Pretty song, ain't it?" Suzanne looked quizzically at Lavelle. Did people really sing church hymns when they killed a hog? That concludes my reading. Again, this is The Children of Lot by me, Vic Kerry, and as always is my trademark, I give you it darkly. Thank you.